The physical formation of woman is far more complicated than that of man, as it must be for the function of childbearing; and, likewise, the intelligence of woman matures more quickly than the intelligence of man. 44. Many of the physical and psychical differences between the two sexes must be attributed to the fact that man was formed from the ground and woman from the bone. Women need perfumes while men do not. Dust of the ground remains the same no matter how long it is kept. Flesh, however, requires salt to keep it in good condition. The voice of woman is shrill, not so the voice of men. When soft viands are cooked, no sound is heard, but let a bone be put in a pot, and at once it crackles. A man is easily placated, not so a woman. A few drops of water suffice to soften a clod of earth. A bone stays hard, and if it were to soak in water 4 days. The man must ask the woman to be his wife, and not the woman the man to be her husband, because it is man who has sustained the loss of his rib, and he sallies forth to make good his loss again. The very difference between the sexes in garb and social forms goes back to the origin of man and woman for their reasons. Woman covers her hair in token of Eve's having brought sin into the world. She tries to hide her shame, and women precede men in funeral cordage, because it was woman who brought death into the world. And the religious commands addressed to women alone are connected with the history of Eve. Adam was the heave offering of the world, and Eve defiled it. As expiation, all women are commanded to separate a heave offering from the dough, and because woman extinguished the light of man's soul, she is bidden to kindle the Sabbath light. 45. Adam was first made to fall into a deep sleep before the rib for Eve was taken from his side. For had he watched her creation, she would not have awakened love in him. To this day, it is true that men do not appreciate the charms of women whom they have known and observed from childhood up. Indeed, God had created a wife for Adam before Eve, but he would not have her, because she had been made in his presence. Knowing well all the details of her formation, he was repelled by her. 46. But when he roused himself from his profound sleep, and saw Eve before him in all her surpassing beauty and grace, he exclaimed, "This is she who caused my heart to throb many a night." Yet he discerned at once what the nature of woman was. She would, he knew, seek to carry her point with man either by entreaties and tears, or flattery and caresses. He said, therefore, "This is my never silent bell." 47. The wedding of the first couple was celebrated with pomp never repeated in the whole course of history since. God himself, before presenting her to Adam, attired and adorned Eve as a bride. Yea, he appealed to the angels, saying, "Come, let us perform services of friendship for Adam and his helpmate. For the world rests upon friendly services, and they are more pleasing in my sight than the sacrifices Israel will offer upon the altar." The angels accordingly surrounded the marriage canopy, and God pronounced the blessings upon the bridal couple, as the Hazan does under the huppah. The angels then danced and played upon musical instruments before Adam and Eve in their bridal chambers of gold, pearls, and precious stones, which God had prepared for them. And Adam called his wife Aisha, and himself he called Ish, abandoning the name Adam, which he had borne before the creation of Eve, for the reason that God added his own name, Yah, to the names of the man and the woman, Yad to Ish, and he to Isha, to indicate that as long as they walked in the ways of God and observed his commandments, his name would shield them against all harm. But if they went astray, his name would be withdrawn, and instead of Ish there would remain Esh, fire, a fire issuing from each and consuming the other. 48. End of chapter 2, part 2. The Ideal Man, the Fall of Satan, Woman. Read by Robert Scott, July the 5th, 2007.